Hey gamers, welcome back to the channel. Today in DC Dark Legion, we're taking a look at the April tier list. Very excited for this one. We have Constantine on the list. I was hoping that Hot Girl would come out this week so I could add her, but she doesn't come out till next week, so we'll talk about her later. But there also has been quite a bit of movement on the list, so I'm very curious on your thoughts on the different characters that have moved. All right, everybody, there is a lot to discuss here, so let's get into it. All right, and welcome back. Before we get into the tier list, just a couple things I want to call out. First, I just put together a team tier list. It is part one of multiple parts. It's just the very beginning, and I'm very excited to get that out there and start the conversation around these team tier lists. Some very cool stuff came up through some testing. If you want to see that, if you haven't checked it out, I'll put a link up to it right over here. But take a look at it. Let me know what you think. Use it in conjunction with this tier list as well, and let me know how that helps. Also, just a couple other things. I want to shout out a couple other content creators, Quantum and Meta Knight, who put out regular content on the game. If you haven't checked them out, make sure to do so. Quantum just put a tier list out. He goes over a tier list that we work on together as a community. We have a number of people come together called the Justice League of Discord, who comes together and just gives our thoughts on the different characters. We get into some pretty good conversation around where we feel that these different heroes and villains should rank on the tier list, but it's some great conversation. It is a crowdsourced tier list, which is great. I have my own, as well as obviously promoting that one as well. I like to make sure that you all have multiple views of tier lists because, as we all know, these are all very subjective, right? It's all based on the experiences of the people who create these tier lists. And the more that you can take a look and have conversations with other people and get feedback and see what other people's views are of these different characters, because everybody's play style is just a little bit different, I think that better informs you as a community. And I think it's just good for everybody all the way around. So, wanted to make sure to mention that. Let's talk about the tier list. We are almost there. Check this out. Let's go into the roster here. We have a roster of 50 champions. There are only 3 that are currently not in play. Now, we have Hot Girl coming up next week, which is going to be great. Can't wait to check her out. Hopefully, she helps buff up that Birds of Prey team. We also have Martian Manhunter. Can't wait for him to come out. He seems to be like he's going to be a damage dealer for the Justice League team. We also have Nightwing coming out too. So very excited for this one. This guy has eluded me for over a year now. Even when he was in the game prior, when the game was landscape version, I couldn't get the guy. So pretty cool stuff. We are almost at the end. I think maybe what may happen is once we get to the end of this roster, we may see some of the bleeds coming back, like Superman and Joker and things like that. I'm hoping so, at least. But we're just about done. So we almost have an entire completed tier list with every single hero that launched with the game, and not launched meaning they're playable, but as far as in the roster, ready to go and in a summoning rotation, right? So very cool stuff. So let's go ahead. We're going to stop. We're going to go over to the graphic that was put together, and we're going to go through the tier list. Very curious on your thoughts, so let's head over there. All right, so here we are, April tier list. Very cool. I do want to, before we get into this, shout out Cope. I had put out my team tier list the other day, like I had mentioned. And during that video, I asked if there was anybody who would be willing to help out making some graphics for these videos and guides and things that I've been putting out. Because I want to be able to share this stuff so that you can go ahead and take them and share them and use them however you want. So Cope reached out to me and said, hey, I think I might be able to help you out. Cope put out that team tier list, which is absolutely awesome. Put this one together as well for me. So Cope, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Cope's on 214, runs their own alliance, but did a fantastic job. So thank you. Appreciate you. All right, so let's take a look at the April tier list. I do not have an S plus tier. However, we're getting to a point with some of these where I want to probably differentiate them a little bit more, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Knee-jerk reactions, things like that. I want to make sure that this is a solid, good working tier list for you all before we start adding some additional tiers. And then I don't go down to D. I think C pretty much covers it all. So let's talk about the S tier first. We have Superman, Joker, Green Lantern, and we have Sinestro. Fantastic heroes. No movement there at all. Speaking of movement, you'll see these green arrows and these red arrows up and down, letting you know when a hero moves up or down the tier list. Just really quick so you can easily see it. Superman, fantastic single target dealer. You definitely want to make sure to get him up to 5 white stars so that his defense really kicks in because he is a bit of a glass cannon. One thing I did note is that When you take them from white stars to blue stars, I just got him up to like 2 blue stars on my free-to-play account, and it really boosts his damage. It boosts his survivability. There was a significant difference that I could tell. So you definitely want to continue to build him as much as you can, because obviously the more built he is, the better he's going to do. Sinestro, very high physical, not physical, but spiritual damage dealer. Superman's physical single target damage dealer. The spiritual damage dealers in this game, though, just absolutely dominate. Joker, fantastic damage dealer. He's got AoE with his stacks of venom and his damage over time. Just does a fantastic job. The thing with him is he got a little bit of a buff recently, and I don't even think he needed it. But when Sinestro came out, Sinestro was out-damaging Joker, and now that Joker has that buff, I see Joker out-damage Sinestro more now. But great damage dealer, very plug and play. Green Lantern, here's the thing with Green Lantern. He is an S-tier healer, hands down, fantastic healer. Overhealing, you get shields. He does very well, very plug and play, works in almost every single team. Obviously the Justice League team, but there are so many plug and play possibilities with him. He does absolutely fantastic. He is a paywalled character. You can't get him any other way but paying for him outside of that milestone pack that we got for global launch, where you could select him and get him. If you were a collector, you probably did. I did that on my free-to-play account, but you can't rank him up without spending money. He is going to cost quite a bit in order to max him out. So he is very difficult to get for people, and most of the player base isn't going to have him. But the cool thing is he is not required to do what you need to do in this game. You can get very far. You can go ahead and top leaderboards and everything without him. He is great. He's fantastic, but he is not absolutely critical. So, but he's good. He's S tier definitely. Sinestro, again, another spiritual damage dealer that just does a phenomenal amount of damage. Top 3 damage dealers in this game when you're talking about spiritual damage dealers is Joker, Sinestro, and Constantine. We'll talk about Constantine here in a little bit. But Sinestro's fantastic, very plug and play. Works well with the Legion of Doom team. However, with the Legion of Doom team, there's definitely some room for some opportunity there and improvement. So that's your S tier. Phenomenal characters. If we take a look at our A+ tier characters, there's been some recent debate and conversation around Ivy. Should Ivy be S tier? Should she be A tier? Is she good where she is in the A+ tier? Here's my thoughts on that. I feel that she's very good as an A+ healer. I feel she's better than Mara, actually. I know there's a lot out there who think Mara is best, maybe because when you take a look at her star ranking, most people have Mara. Mara is much easier to rank up for stars than Ivy is. Obviously, she's legendary, so you can get more stars of her. As Ivy catches up, I think that's where you're going to really see her edge out Mara. But she's great. She does some damage, so if you need her on a team and just do a little bit more damage, combat cycle, training simulator, whatever it might be, she does some decent AoE damage. She does some great healing. She also has a crowd control effect, sucking in the enemy. The enemy doesn't know what's happening when the rest of your team takes them out. But she's got some crowd control there as well. So a healer with some support function and a little bit of damage. She is absolutely fantastic. I believe she's very much A tier. I don't know that I would move her up into S, but maybe. I mean, when you compare her and Green Lantern, I don't know. More testing needs to be done on the amount of healing that she can do. I think that's really what's going to put her over the top because her functionality is absolutely awesome. Green Arrow, beginning character in the game. In the landscape version, he fell off pretty hard in the end game. I think maybe they touched him up a little bit for the portrait version of the game, the current version of the game, because I'm not seeing him drop off as much as he did before. It was more towards like late mid-game, mid-late, between the mid-game and the end game. So late mid-game, he tend to fall off, but he's absolutely doing awesome. He's a great single target damage dealer. He's just straight up damage. He does well with your team. You definitely want to build him. Mara, we talked about her a little bit. She's got some direct healing as well as some healing over time, which is great. Her healing is based on 2 different stats. Her direct healing is based off her attack, her AoE, not AoE healing, but her healing over time is based off her HP. So you got to watch your stats a little bit there. But she is great as well. All 3 of these healers will do great for you and will work in different situations. If you need just straight up more healing and Ivy's not cutting it for you, then bring in Mara and she'll probably help you out there. As we get further into this game, and as we get more and more mythics and mythic pluses out, we may start seeing her drop rapidly, but we'll see. Right now, she's holding her own. So next is Zatanna. There's been also some question whether Zatanna and Constantine should be in the same tier. Some people feel Zatanna should be A tier, and Constantine should be S tier. I've gone back and forth on that too. Are they the same? Should Constantine be a S tier or not? We'll get to that when we talk about Constantine. But Zatanna, I think Zatanna, when you take a look at support characters that do similar functions, right? So she increases attack, she increases physical defense, she increases, for the JLD team, spiritual damage, which is why she works so well with Constantine. She also does a fair amount of damage as well. On one of the combat cycles that I was testing, Constantine did almost 30 million damage. Zatanna came in with about 4 million. Now, granted, that's a ton of difference between the two. However, I don't know any other healer that's doing healer or support that's doing 4 million damage. So I very much think that she should be in A+. I think she's also better than some of the other supports that do similar functions, like Batgirl. Batgirl, she increases crit for your team, right? Which is going to increase your damage. The thing with crit is always a percent chance. You're not going to crit 100% of the time. Zatanna, 100% of the time, you're going to increase attack, and you're going to increase physical defense, and you're going to increase spiritual damage for your Justice League team, Justice League Dark team. So Batgirl is very good, but she has dropped quite a bit, actually. She's not as functional as she used to be. She's not used as much as she used to be. But we'll see how things go with Nightwing when he comes out, what kind of changes the Bat family might go through. And then when you talk about Cyborg, Cyborg does pretty well. He increases, helps with the physical damage piece. He's got a revive as well. But Zatanna, I think she just easily overpowers. Her kit is just much more functional and usable. And she's fairly plug and play as well. Obviously does much better with the JLD team. Harley, from the beginning, always been good. Good AoE damage dealer. Definitely someone I would continue to build. She falls off a little bit in the end game, but not too much. She is still very much usable. She's got some self-healing, so she does very well in the A tier. I did move up Wonder Woman. I was against Wonder Woman being A+ tier. I had her down in the A tier for the longest time. However, when we take into consideration now we have a full Justice League Dark team, and if you've seen any of my videos or screenshots or anything that I've shared with my Justice League Dark team or on my streams, they are a fantastic team. I think they're the best team in the game right now. But her being Justice League Dark, very usable in that team, does very well. She's a great tank. I think she's probably the best tank in the game. I think she's probably even better than Fate. We'll talk about Fate here in a minute. But she absorbs some good damage. She does a little bit of damage, but I think also with her shields that she gives to her allies, she also has 2 different stuns. I think that is really what's kind of pushed her up for me. Just her usability and how valuable she continues to be in Training Simulator and other areas of the game. Meta Brawl, PvP, right? So I did move her up into A+. Constantine does so much damage. If he does 30 million damage, why isn't he up in S? Honestly, I've been very cautious with moving him up into the S tier. He does great damage. However, in order for him to do the best damage he possibly can, he has to be in a full Justice League Dark team. He can be plug and play. You can put him into some other teams. And this weekend, we're going to be doing some plug and play testing, so we'll see what kind of damage he does. But there's been teams where I've had him on Sinestro, and Sinestro has outdamaged him. And it's without being in a Justice League Dark team, without any support, without Zatanna, without anybody on the Justice League Dark team. I had Sinestro either right even with him or a little bit better than him. He just is very dependent on the Justice League Dark team. We'll see how that continues to build. Maybe I'll move him up into S tier eventually. But because he is so dependent on that team, he's not as plug and play functional to really kind of hit some of that top tier damage. But I've got him at 3 blues right now. No, I've got him into the purples now. So we'll see. We'll see what he looks like. Obviously, as characters continue to rank up, they get better and better. So we'll see what that looks like for May. All right, A tier. Adam, we moved Adam up into A tier. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think most people have him probably in the B tier. I think his functionality, his stun, really pushed him up quite a bit for me. Training Simulator, he's fantastic in because he just obviously, yes, he takes himself off the battlefield. That sucks. We've been talking about that forever, but that 2-second stun really helps your team get the edge on your enemies and really go through and pass a lot of those Training Simulator battles. Especially, I mean, even when you get up into the high floors like 400s, 500s, and so on. I'm in the 500 range, and he's still pretty functional for me. We'll see once we get into the higher ranges there. Scarecrow, I think, is great. He does good. He does some decent damage. He's a fairly good tank. He does well in the two teams that he's a part of, which is Arkham's Most Wanted and Legion of Doom. And if you take a look at the team tier list that I put together the other day, the top 3 teams was JLD at the top, and then you have Arkham's Most Wanted, and then you have Legion of Doom. He does pretty well. He does lower the amount of damage that your opponents can do. He does some decent damage and can soak up some damage as well. But we've got him at A tier for now. Fate, he is good even at 0 stars. I think the best thing about Fate is his shields. He really protects his team, and he does it very well. That's pretty much all he is. I thought he was great for a long time. He is great, but he has dropped because his function is so limited to the shields, right? Now, when he's on his JLD team and he's at 5 stars, that's when he's at his best for the Justice League Dark team, because then his shields get stronger. So, great hero, but I think maybe once we get some other characters for Justice League Dark, we'll probably swap him out, to be honest with you. He doesn't do much damage. He does keep his team up, though. So that's his role, and he does it pretty well. Raven, she's at the bottom when you talk about healers. She does healing all right. She does swap places with people, which tends to get her into a little bit of trouble, sometimes death. But she does some decent healing. She also does some decent damage. Unfortunately, she doesn't do as much damage or as much healing as Mara and Ivy. She's needed for the team to fill out that function of healer and to have a 5 hero team. So the team itself does very well, but her as a healer and being able to plug and play her into other teams, again, she's dependent on her team. Her team is what really protects her. She doesn't do as well in some of those other teams. Black Adam, always good. I think he's been A tier for a very long time. He's very good in the beginning for people to build up and to get through some of the beginning content. He just falls off so fast. I know that there's some people out there who really like him, who've built him up pretty good. He just tends to fall off. And when you take a look at the other characters and damage dealers in this game, he's a spiritual damage dealer. We got some heavy hitters for spiritual damage with Sinestro and Joker and Constantine. So his functionality, his usability has really dropped. Batman, I like him. He does some good damage. He is best. He's one of those, again, where he's best in a specific team and not even Bat Family. Bat Family, I think the biggest issue with Bat Family is they really don't have a healer. Even when Nightwing comes out, they don't have a healer. So I think them as a whole are better as plug-and-play heroes into other teams. But Batman, he is good. He is best in a Justice League team, and he does very well in that role. But because of that, he is so limited. And then again, if you get him into any other team, he just doesn't do as well. Deathstroke, there's some debate on Deathstroke on where he should be. I've always put Deathstroke as an A because where I have had him and where he has been usable for me, unfortunately, has not been much. He requires so much investment that he gets good over time, but I don't know how long it's going to take for somebody to get him up to the red stars. I think he starts getting really good in purple, into the purple stars. So if you save up for his banner and go really, really hard on his banner, he'll probably do pretty well. And I'm not knocking him down just because he's so difficult to get. It's just when you go into the game and you unlock him and want to use him into some of the content, he's just not very usable. Whereas Green Lantern, he's usable right off the bat, right? You don't have to invest much in him for him to be very usable and plug and play into a bunch of different teams. Whereas Deathstroke is. So maybe we'll see him move up the list. He is great in PvP though. He is the counter, in my opinion, to the JLD team, because your Justice League Dark team, that back row, man, he goes back there in the very beginning and takes people out before Fate even gets his shields up. So he does very well. If you've got him and you've got him built, and you're going up against a Justice League Dark team, he's the weak link right there for that team. That's probably the wrong term, but you know what I mean. He's definitely going to do some damage to that team. Let's talk about B tier here a little bit. So Lex, these are the characters. This is the tier where the characters really don't do fantastic. However, there could be some niche roles that they could fill. Lex, there's been a couple times in Training Simulator where I've needed some additional help, and he's helped out there with some of his AoE damage. But honestly, I think he could use some improvement. His kit doesn't do a ton, but he does help out from time to time when I need him. Flash, I think with Flash, he's pure support. He has no healing. The thing that he is best at is getting your highest attack hero to launch ultimates multiple times. So a lot of people will pair Flash up with Superman. I've paired Flash up with Sinestro, and he's done very well. I haven't done this yet. Somebody suggested this, but you can pair him up with Constantine. Just your really high damage dealers, Flash will do well with, and you don't even need him built up too much. I wouldn't build up his attack or anything in his force if you have him. It's really just, it's his ultimate, and that's all you need, and that's at 0 stars. So he does well in those situations when you're looking to just completely annihilate and do a bunch of damage there. But that doesn't work all the time. I put him in with some other teams with Sinestro, had to swap him out, and the team overall did better without Flash being in there. So it really just depends on the team that you're going up against. Cyborg, great support, does well, helps the physical damage dealers. You can pair him up with Superman and some other physical damage dealers as well, like Green Arrow. He does well. I think maybe what would be super helpful with him is once we get him ranked up a little bit, we may see him shine a little bit more. But at least for right now, B tier. We got Red Hood. Biggest problem with Red Hood, we've talked about it forever. He does his ultimate. He lands in the middle of a bunch of mobs and he dies. I think some tuning there needs to be done. But again, Bat Family, they're fairly low on the list when you're putting just a Bat Family together. I know some people love him, but I think for what he's able to do in the game, you take a look at everybody else above him, and you're going to choose one of those characters before you choose him. Two-Face. I think Two-Face is great. He is good on the Arkham's Most Wanted team. He helps increase the amount of damage that your spiritual damage dealers can do because he has a spiritual damage debuff on the enemy that he can land. He's got some nice AoE. He's got a bleed. He's got a few different functions there. And yeah, look, we actually took him down. I didn't mention that for Cyborg either, but Cyborg went down a tier. But when you take a look at Two-Face, again, another character that's best with his team, not as plug-and-play as he used to be. He used to be fantastic in Combat Cycle. He's just, in this new version of the game, in Portrait Mode, you're not going to use him a whole lot. If you're going to be putting together an Arkham's Most Wanted team, though, you're going to want to put him in. If you want to beef up the spiritual damage of your spiritual damage dealers, you're not necessarily going to use him. Even with his spiritual damage debuff, you're going to use Zatanna before you use Two-Face. Even the attack that Zatanna gives, even though her spiritual damage buff is only for JLD members, her attack up really helps give that additional damage. Not to mention the defense that you get from her. So let's see, Robin, not fantastic. I think he's really underwhelming when it comes to damage. He used to be really good in Darkest Timeline. He did so much damage there. I think there was a change that was done because he doesn't do as much damage as he used to do. And when I say used to, it was back in Portrait Mode still. We were still in Portrait after we moved from Landscape. He's just not doing as much damage in there, and there's a lot of other damage dealers in this game that you're going to choose before you choose him. Shazam has been B for a while. I think maybe he might be one that gets better with more investment as well. But his AoE damage that he does, not overly fantastic. Even with his revive, the challenge with his revive is that he'll go down. He has a certain amount of time to come back up, but then he gets taken back down so quickly. It's not as usable, at least from my experience. But His taunt is okay. I think that's what really kills him. Is he's got the taunt and everybody goes after him and then he dies. So and then everybody goes after your team, right? And then he comes back up and taunts and then he dies. So maybe some tweaking there on him. Batgirl went down a tier. So again, another support character that did go down. We just see both of those characters. They used to be used in Combat Soccer quite a bit during early access. But you just don't see them used as much. Again, as more and more characters come out, you're going to start seeing some of the original characters fall down. We have more people who dropped a tier this month than we have in any other month. So we'll see what happens in the coming months and the other characters that are coming, right? Aquaman. Aquaman, I think with him, he is great in PvP. He brings everybody together. You can set that up with a AoE damage dealer and just damage the other team and do quite a bit of damage there. Again, for PvP, you can use him in Training Simulator. I think he works fairly well in there. He's got a knockback as well, just to put some distance between you and your enemies. But overall, combat cycle, not too useful. Campaign, he can be useful in as well, but in campaign, almost anybody's useful. There's some very difficult battles in campaign where you need a specific team, but when you talk about kind of his usability and stuff, it's not as good as some of the other characters. So for that reason, he's B tier. C tier, we've gone through these characters multiple times. We got 3 new additions to C tier. We got Vixen, we got Red Robin, and we've got Croc. Red Robin did get a little bit of a buff, but I don't think it was enough. I had him in B for a little while. But again, through just more testing, just doesn't hold up. Neither does Vixen. Vixen you get from the very beginning. You can start her up pretty quick. But when you talk about support that boosts your team, the damage of your team, and she has nothing against these one. And if we've got Cyborg and Batgirl at B tier, there's no way I could put her up into B tier. Deadshot, Bane, both C tier. Have not seen much improvement in them at all. Bane did get a little bit of a buff. I did put him in that Arkham team for testing during the stream, but he just didn't do as well. Even his buff that he got just didn't do enough for him to really make me want to use him quite a bit. We'll do some more testing with him and stuff, but so far that's kind of where we are. Cold, Captain Cold here. Again, I think his kit is interesting. It's pretty cool when you watch some of his animations and things like that, but he just doesn't do much on a team. Penguin, I did have Penguin on the Arkham team as well. Swapped him in and out a few different times, but he just didn't make the cut when we were kind of changing up the configurations. He wasn't doing enough damage. He took too much damage. He just he hasn't really taken off. He hasn't really taken off and flown really. Catwoman, she is C tier, but she did better than anybody else. Well, I guess the only other one down here is Penguin. When you talk about Arkham's Most Wanted, she did better than Penguin on that team. She's got some good survivability. She does some decent damage. But I think that's really the only place I see her decent at is on that team. We'll do some additional testing there as well, but she's okay. We just don't use her for much anymore. We've got Black Canary. Black Canary, decent. She's got a silence. Again, though, functionality-wise, you're really not going to use her much. She doesn't do much damage. When you're putting teams together, at least for right now, her kit just isn't useful. And then finally, we have Stargirl. Stargirl, been C tier for a long time, doesn't do much damage. Her kit doesn't do much. However, a couple things that she does well is once you get her to 5 white stars, then she gives the team effect resistance, which is good for resisting, obviously, effects, debuffs, things like that. But then also what she does with her ultimate is she cleanses stacks of debuffs and weakens from the team. And that is very useful when you're going up against the Drowned in CC. So she's a character you want to bring into the Drowned during that combat cycle to help you score the best that you can. A lot of high-level teams are using her in there. I've started using her in there, and it has helped my score. Other than that, you're not going to really use her anywhere else. All right, this is a long video. That's the April tier list. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the different heroes on the tier list? Who's your favorite? What do you disagree with? I love having these conversations because, again, as I mentioned before, tier lists are very subjective, and specific to the individual who did the testing, right? But that's also why I like the crowdsourcing tier list that we're working on with Quantum and the Justice League of Discord, who's got Meta Knight and Chloe, who does a fantastic job putting that tier list together. The graphic looks amazing. But that's why I always encourage people to take a look at a couple different tier lists from trusted people that you know put in a lot of time and effort trying to figure this stuff out for you, because we're trying to help you make the best decision you can. Are we right 100% of the time? No, we're not. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. And some people may use characters a different way than we do. However, we want to give this information to you so that you can make the best decisions that you can in the game that we all love. All right, that is it. I'm droning on. Thank you all. As always, thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.